Hey, what's up? I'm Dave Boyer, aka Mr. Boyer, aka the Swamp Man. And students this year, I made like an off-the-cuff comment that I used to live in a tent, and they thought that I was some homeless person that, you know, was struggling day in and day out. But the reality of it was, I bought this property and um, was fortunate enough to also be able to live with my parents from time to time, stay most nights there, and then camp through the weekends here at my property. So I'll show you around since you've been kind of curious. One of the first things I did actually when I bought this property was pull some rocks out of the creek and establish a nice fire ring here. I haven't used it this winter. We used it in the fall a couple of times with some guests that came. But leaves have covered it up. If I wanted to use it, I'd clean that out. I got tons and tons of firewood down here now because of a red oak tree that fell across the creek. I actually had a big bowl of it that was a big branch of it that had landed right on the fire pit. So kind of would have been one idea to just to light it up and burn it off of the area. But no, brought my chainsaw down and cut up the top of that tree, cut it into some firewood logs. Let me take you over here to where I used to set up my camp. And this spot is actually incredibly important and significant in my life. This is also where my wife and I got married. But when I first bought this property in December of 2005, I camped a few different places and really kept kind of getting drawn back to this spot. One, because there's my road that runs through my property comes straight down here, so it's pretty convenient when I have my truck working there. But I also set up kind of a permanent area. I've got these two trees here, this sycamore and I think there's a walnut. I'm not 100% sure, but I strung usually my hammock up between those and put a shade canopy up over top of that so I could leave my hammock up or sleep in it through the night even if it rained. In the winter though, I didn't stay in my hammock and I would set up my tent right here. For my wife and I's wedding, we built some benches out of some live edge red oak slabs that I cut up from my property and had milled. I built a stage over here right at the back side of the creek, and that's where my wife and I set up and said our I do's. So it's a really, really special spot here, not only for my wedding, but also because I slept here probably at least 3 or 4 nights out of the week for about 5 years. So it's a pretty significant area in terms of the place that I've spent a lot of time. There's also, it's kind of small probably in the background back there, a little cabin that I call Preacher's Cabin. That was here on the property when I purchased it. And my initial thought was, oh, that's perfect. I'll just set up a campsite, set up a place to live inside the cabin. And I built a platform for a mattress to go in there, and immediately the mattress was just like, I mean, the humidity in there made it moldy. There were mice that got into it. Like within 2 weeks, the mattress was completely ruined, and I did not enjoy sleeping in Preacher's Cabin. But I did enjoy having a roof cover over the porch there and sitting there in the rain, playing guitar or hitting on my djembe or sitting on the porch and reading. So, I mean, this site here, it's just got this gorgeous kind of bend in the creek that goes around. So you can imagine laying in my hammock or my tent here, and the water almost goes around 270 degrees around you or so. You can just hear that water all throughout the night. Really, really peaceful. You can't see it, but after it goes around this other bend towards Preacher's Cabin, it bends back over and meets up with the other creek on my property, the North Branch. And then it forms the main creek. These two join together and make Mill Creek. So one theme kind of for my wedding was like two families united into one, or two creeks where they merge together into one. There's kind of some symbolism there. So hopefully you can tell it's just a really special place. I love it down here. I try to come down as often as I can. And as we have friends that like to come and camp, we definitely set up here because it's really nice. It's got plenty of spots for several tents just in this area. And then I've got a couple of other camping areas along a trail back this way. So I could probably host, you know, pretty big events with 20, 30 tents or so of people down here. So it's kind of the advantage of having a property like this. It's really nice on a day like today to be able to get out and dress warm and keep dry, but get out and walk around in a beautiful area. So I'm so fortunate. I just can't say enough how lucky I am to have made this choice to invest in a property, really put in the work in establishing trails to walk on it, a nice campsite around it. It's been 15 years since this has started, and which seems crazy, it's such a long time, but really the work that I've put in the early years have really paid off recently with the trails that are just more covered now as the trees have grown up around them, and they're kind of taking care of themselves a little bit better. Been able to come on walks almost every day that we're home with my daughters, and kind of just really enjoy the property for what benefits it has. So this is the porch or preacher's cabin that I was talking about. I did replace the roof of the porch here, but it's the original porch. It must be 25 years old now, I would guess. And then inside there is now just some wood storage. All of this wood that we can see stacked on the porch all came from that red oak tree that fell just a couple of months ago. Well, I was just kind of showing you around since you've been curious and asked about it. But hope y'all are enjoying your weekend, and I just wanted to stop here and share it with you and tell you science rocks. Peace.